So, Ani Bojo, Serena, I want to welcome you to Ancestral Ascensions today. And I know that you have recently been nominated for Miss Indigenous Canada. And so I'm going to just let you introduce yourself and where you come from and what you do. So take it away.
Ani, bonjour. My name is Sereena Nahmabin, Amjong Donjaba. And I currently live in London, and Bear is my clan.
Mhm.
Um, and I've been a police officer with London Police Service for 5 years now.
Wow,
London Police.
nice.
Yes. Yes.
Good. And so I see that you're also a boxer.
Yes, I've been boxing now for quite a while, for the last decade. It is one of my favorite sports and has really helped my life in a lot of different ways. So although I don't compete anymore, I used to compete, I still have a lot of love for the sport and still coach when I can and stay involved as much as I can.
Nice. And so what got you into boxing?
It's actually a funny story. My mom and my sister were going, and they were just going to these classes at this boxing club that was in a church back in Sarnia. It was called River City Boxing. And at that time, I was going through a really bad breakup. And my mom kept saying to me, she's like, Serena, like, you should come out. You should come check out these boxing classes. Like, they're so fun. And I kept telling her no, kept telling her no. And then one day she asked me again. I was like, you know what? Fine, whatever. Like, I'll go. And I remember we just had such a good time. And I remember hitting the bag, and the coach was like, oh my gosh, like, you're kind of a natural. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you should come back here and train more often. And I was like, okay. And then basically the rest is history. I just really fell in love with it, and it was really challenging. And um, I don't know, I just like was very much drawn to it. And I had done previous sports prior to that, like wrestling and cross country and track, but they never really resonated with me like boxing did. And I think the wrestling and the track really helped me with my mindset, but I wasn't truly in love with the sport. I didn't feel very passionate about it. But then when I found boxing, and like when I would lose, I just like had this eager desire to keep training it, get better and like actually become somewhat decent in the sport. So it's actually a really, really interesting story on how I started.
Nice. So how far did you get with it?
So I last kind of stopped training competitively the end of 2019. It was like kind of near when COVID was coming about and getting more serious. I went to I did a couple competitions that year, did well, and then was just fighting actively within the community. Then I went to nationals in British Columbia, Victoria, BC, and made it all the way to the finals, ended up losing my final match and then got silver. So that was a really good experience for me, and wanted to continue boxing. Then with COVID and with my career, I really had to ultimately make a decision as to what I wanted to do and where I wanted to see my life go. I decided that like if I was going to do boxing, I wanted to go all the way, and I wanted to like try for the Olympics and see it through. But I really had to ask myself a deep question as to, is this truly what I want out of life? Or do I really want to pursue my career and see what I can do with that? And ultimately I decided that I wanted to choose my career. So
Right.
that is kind of where I left boxing. But after that, I still did coach like the women's classes at a boxing club here in London, um, and kind of stay with it as much as I can.
Nice. So do you do a lot with First Nations youth or young women?
Yeah, so I've been asked to do the the unity gatherings in Kettle and Stony Point Reserve,
Mhm.
which is not far from here. It's near Grand Bend area, and it is not my home community, but I do have a lot of family that resides there. So it's also very close to me. And at the Unity gatherings, I usually set up a booth for just like a little boxing seminar for people to come try out the classes and kind of see what it's all about. I've had really good success going to that, and I really love attending, and I'm really grateful that they keep asking me to come back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Good. So what was life like growing up for you? Were you raised in your home community or were you raised in London or?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up on Amjanong.
Mhm.
I definitely had some challenges growing up. Um, my parents split up around when I was about 8 or 9, and I did witness some domestic violence. So it was very challenging, and um, growing up in that lifestyle. And hmm, sorry, how do I want to say this? I would say I didn't have the best life, but I didn't have the worst life.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I very, very appreciative of everything I've gone through, because honestly, I don't think I'd be who I am today without what I've experienced.
Absolutely. So what kind of helped you find your way?
I've had some really great mentors growing up.
Mhm.
One of them being one of my cousins. I did a lot of babysitting for her when I was younger, and uh, she just really had a positive mindset and very close with her faith, and just really guided me in the right direction, as well as my grandmother. She has been so full of wisdom and has really, really spoken some truth to me at a very young age that I took very seriously. So, with the mentorships that I've had, and then also the sports, it really put me on the right path. And I really do give that to boxing as well, right? Like having
Mhm.
something to strive for, and having those trial and tribulations, and then, you know, I kind of correlate boxing to life, right? Like I would lose a match and I would have to work extra, extra hard to then ensure that I was capable enough to win the next one, and was able to lose and take a lesson from it and then move forward. It's the same thing in life. You're going to go through losses in life, and it's really how your mindset is. Are you willing to work hard and achieve something, and work for it and become better? Or are you going to just sulk in your sadness and your loss? So I do give a lot of that as well to boxing, in sports in general. So
So did you feel that you had that in you all the way along and it was just these mentors that helped pull that out of you? Or do you think that there was some times where you were like, I'm definitely gonna overcome whatever it is that you were facing?
there's nothing special about me. Really, there isn't. I think I always I heard a really good quote when I was young that was kind of like an aha moment for me.
Mhm.
And it was about two young boys with the same father, and their father was an alcoholic. One boy grew up being like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to be an alcoholic because my dad's an alcoholic.
Mhm.
And the other boy grew up saying, I'm never going to be an alcoholic because my dad's an alcoholic. And that really like struck with me, because at the end of the day, it's perspective. And I just really want to better life for myself and for my future family. And that has been a goal of mine at like a very young age. I want to say like 15 or 16.
Mhm.
So I've just kept that very strong in my heart,
Mhm.
and have really tried to be strategic and mindful in my planning of my life. And it's carried me this far. So it
Yeah.
still stays with me. So
Nice. It reminds me of that story about the two wolves that live within us. And, one, of
yeah,
course we have the shadow side and we have that light side. And ultimately it comes down to which one we decide to feed. So if we want to feed that positivity and
yeah.
getting through life. So absolutely. So that's totally what that reminded me of. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Miss Indigenous Canada. What is the process with that? How did someone nominate you, or how did you get
No,
involved
so
with that?
just such a like out of the blue opportunity. The deadline for applications was April 1st, sorry.
Hmm.
And my sister Janelle had sent it to me. I think it was like March 16th, very, very close.
Hmm.
And she just sent it to me on Facebook, was like, hey, I think you should do this. And I was like, huh. I like looked at it, I went on the page and I was like super intrigued because it's not like a beauty pageant, right? It's
Hmm.
not based on how you look, your anything on the outside. It's really just your culture, environment, and like what you do within the community. And I was like, wow, this is like so neat. I'm very intrigued. And so I thought about it for a day or two, and I was like, is this something, because I'm very intentional, obviously, like I've
Hmm.
said, right? Like every decision I've made in my life is for a reason. And I really thought like, hey, is this something that I really want? Is this something that I think would be good for me? Do I see myself as Miss Indigenous Canada? Do I think I would represent? So I had this very honest conversation with myself, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I can do this and I want to do this. And what a great opportunity.
Hmm.
And really, there is no losing, right? Like,
Hmm.
even if I don't get crowned Miss Indigenous Canada, like the amount of knowledge and like being closer connected with my culture, the networking, the experience of interviewing, it's all great stuff, like stuff that is so good for anyone.
Hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Let's just see. And so I had to get approval from the London Police Service, obviously, just given like the media and putting myself out there, and they thankfully were very supportive and agreed. And so then I was like, okay, now we have to write these questions that they've asked me for the application. So I did that, submitted everything for April 1st. So it was like boom, boom, boom. And I didn't know if I was going to get chosen. I was like, well, let's just see. And I did. And I'm very, very grateful. And so essentially it's made up of its points. It's not based on votes. So there's
Okay.
main categories and then there's side categories. The main categories are all points, and it's two essays, one essay on it's tell me about yourself and what it means to be an Indigenous ambassador. The other one is sorry, cultural presentation. So something within your community that, or like a person in your community that you admire that is cultural that you want to share. And then there's a community scrapbook. And so, oh, and then also, sorry, the Robin style interview. They will ask us various questions. We don't know what the questions are, but ask us various questions, and all of these account for points. And whoever gets the highest points, then they can be the winner of Miss Indigenous Canada.
Right.
Side categories are not for points, but they're just like additional things that you can do to win an award. So there's academics, there is you can talk about a turning point in your life, somewhere in your life where you've had a turning point, and raise $100 minimum for We Matter, which is for Indigenous youth.
Oh, nice.
I have chosen to do
Mhm.
the chair the charity event, which is the boxing show that I'm hosting on July 13th.
Mhm.
That's what I've chosen to do, and that will just win you an award at the final show.
Nice, good. So
Yeah.
we have put that out in the reel so people can have a look there and maybe plan to attend or even just donate to the cause. When do they plan to choose their candidate, the Miss Indigenous Canada?
So the final show is going to be on July 27th.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll be going down there, all of the contestants on the 24th. And
Where
within
do you
those,
go?
we're going to Six Nations.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well, exciting. I'm sure there's lots of candidates. How many candidates are there? Do you know?
26.
26.
Yeah. So there
Nice.
was 400 applicants and only 26 were chosen.
Wow, good for you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm very, very blessed that this opportunity came up when it did. And it was like, okay, Serena, if you really, the other thing too that really drew me to it was that the age was 18 to 30, and I'm 28 now. And I was like, Serena, if you really want to do this, like you got to do it now. There's no
Yeah,
waiting. So that also really drove me too. I was like, you know what? I gotta just do things.
that's
Opportunity,
right.
take them.
Absolutely. So if there was one piece of advice that you would like to give young people or just people in general out there, what would it be?
Hmm. I want to just say, and it's gonna sound so corny because everyone says it, but truly, you know, just keep working hard and don't give up, because things always come around. And no matter how much, no matter how much you want to sulk and be sad, you do have to pick yourself back up again and keep moving forward. And if I can even just talk to my 16-year-old self, it's just that. It's just keep going and keep moving forward. Better things are to come. You just got to work hard for them, and you can honestly achieve whatever you want with that attitude.
Absolutely. 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 So I'm just shuffling right now because I have my angels and ancestors card. I like
I'm so
to
excited for these.
I like to choose at least one anyways. We'll see what comes out of this in terms of what the guidance is for today or what the angels or the ancestors want to say. Oh, there it is. All right. So this one is Stargazer. Set your sights higher.
Hmm.
Oh, this is the advice from ancestors, and I think this is a great one, especially for a young person such as yourself. I think about everything that I've gone through in my life and the age I am now, and I think I wish I had more time to do more things,
Yeah.
So absolutely, you're absolutely right with what you're saying there, taking those opportunities when you can,
Mhm.
because like I've heard. The biggest regret that people have on their dying day, I guess, is that they regret more what they didn't do and
Yeah.
not what they did do. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I think that's great advice from the ancestors today. And yeah, I
Yeah.
wish you all well in your competition.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Chimigwech, for coming and sitting with me today. And it really is an inspirational story, coming from a First Nation and making all the accomplishments that you have done. That's really great to hear. So,
Thank
Miigwech.
I very much appreciate that, and I feel very honored to be on your podcast. What you're doing is amazing.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
watched, and I hope you have a great day.
Yes, you too. Bamapi.